Hello, welcome to the New World Order, the 28th of October 2011, the new day of the Mayan calendar. The end of time has come, and now there's no more time, and we are in the void. So isn't that exciting? So I figure I'll do a video about this, even though I'm not really quite in video making mode yet. So I guess let me talk about what I know about the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar is it's not a circular calendar that kind of goes around and each year is the same, and you know, something revolving over and over again. It's a calendar that actually points to something, like an arrow pointing to a certain time, and that certain time that it was pointing to was today, apparently, according to a Swedish studier of the Mayan calendar named Carl Kalaman. Before, I think it was Terence McKenna or somebody else studied the Mayan calendar, figured that it would have been the end of the world was 21st of December 2012, the winter solstice. Yeah, I don't know how there can be so much confusion about that. I wish a real Mayan would come up and say what they know about it, but I guess the Mayans just aren't interested in sharing their knowledge with the outside world. Maybe they're racist. Or freaked out for some stupid reason. Basically the Mayan calendar, I guess, according to Carl Kalaman, well, from what I heard of what some woman named Barbara Henclau read in Kalaman's book, that the universe started like 16 billion years ago, and the scientists actually figured that it started 13 billion years ago, and then they're like, oh wait, no, it looks like it's 15 billion. So yeah, that would be cool to find some documented proof that they actually said that before the scientists knew that, because that's pretty amazing. And yeah, so you go through these Baktuns, these eras, these ages, and apparently, well, in the Baktuns they get 20 times smaller. So it's not, something where the year is the same. It's pointing to an actual date. So it's like 1 year, and then the next year is 20 times smaller. Next year is 20 times smaller. So, and apparently, when each new Baktun comes, that signals, I guess, a passage through a certain place in the universe. Like the universe is structured in a certain way that we're passing through something, and just we're getting to a new level of higher energy. And so that creates, through all those cosmic vibrations hitting us, creates a new world that has to accommodate new different types of life. So apparently, the new ages that come at the same time as new ages in like the world, like the end of the dinosaurs, I guess, was one of those. When the fish jumped out of the sea and became animals, that was one of them. I'm going to line that up on my timeline one of these days. Not for a while. I won't get around to that for a while, but it'll be interesting to see how it works. One really interesting thing is that one of the final revolutions, which kind of, like, I guess the Mayans would say is the beginning of the world, of this world, was 3115 BC. And then it went around one, and and it was 20 times less, and then it was like 1730, and that was actually a big time in the world. That was when a lot of the, like, I guess the Industrial Revolution was starting to kick into gear. And then there was another one, 99, that was like the Internet Revolution was kicking in. And then I guess another one would have been, I don't know, like last week or something, because they get 20 times smaller. But anyways, yeah, the Mayan calendar says the beginning of the Earth was, the world was 3115 BC. And 3115 BC, that's when the very, very first dynasty in Egypt started, according to Wikipedia. The very first kings registries were there. Also, that's when the very first Indus Valley civilization started there in the Indus Valley in Pakistan, and also that's when all of those city-states in Mesopotamia started. So it's interesting enough that the city-states in Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, and Egypt started all at the same century, and discovered by archaeologists that are completely independent of each other. But that also lines up with the beginning of the Mayan calendar. Yeah, so that's interesting. And the idea that I guess we're crossing the galactic plane, what the idea of the galactic plane is that I saw this documentary on YouTube a couple years ago, and it looked like it was made by, like, for TV, like mainstream TV. And I wish I copied it or favorited the video, because I tried to look for it again and it wasn't there, so maybe the person deleted it from copyright violation or something. But I remember somebody was explaining passing through the galactic plane is that, well, every, galaxy has a giant black hole in it. Black hole is when a star explodes, and then all the rest of it, all of the heavy matter, the protons and photons and stuff, get all sucked into this infinitesimally small point that's so strong that it sucks in all of the photons around it, so it's black. It sucks in the light, and it has the gravitational pull still of like a small star. So at the beginning they thought, oh look, black holes exist, over there's one, over there's one, and then they found more and more, and then they realized that they're all over the place, and there's one even like pretty close to us. But the center of the galaxy is a very old place, and it's a very condensed place, lots of stars, so then you would imagine that black holes would suck each other in, and it's basically a very in the center of the galaxy, the stars are really, really, really close to each other. So naturally, there's a really big black hole in the center of the galaxy. And there are also vortexes, and so obviously there's a black hole in the center of the galaxy. It's always sucking stuff in, so it's getting bigger. And when you suck something in, it spins around really fast. Like those little skater girls, people, they spin around and they bring their hands in, they spin around really fast. And also, if you have something that's really big, it's going to spin around in the momentum according to its size. So if you've got a black hole that's like 1 billion times the mass of our sun, or trillions of times the mass of our sun, and it's a black hole, and it's sucking in all this energy, you can imagine how fast it's spinning around. And so it spins so much that it actually, the centrifugal force actually sends out a really, really thin plane of energy. And so here's the galaxy, and it's spinning around and like that, and so it sends out this really thin plane of energy, shoots it out throughout the entire galaxy. And I guess that's what we're passing through. We're passing through that thin plane of energy that's sending us extra energy to and increasing the solar flares. Apparently there's lots of solar flares. There's a person who comments on my videos, subscribes to me, Zumaldi, is a guy who lives in his van in Tucson, and he says there's all kinds of solar flares. I don't know, he's like a new ager or what. Well, he said the end of the world's coming in May, but he says that he can talk to like people in Florida. Like before it was Phoenix, and now he can talk to people in Florida. And I think he was naming some other states. Like he can talk to people all over America with a regular CB radio, because there's supposedly these huge solar flares. There's this website, and maybe I'll put it on the link, of this guy who uploads I guess graphs of the solar flares, and they have the graphs every single day that I guess the scientists put up, and you can see the energy coming out of the sun and all the flares coming up. And I guess if you watch them every day, supposedly it send out flares that it never sent out before a couple days ago, and it's been like going crazy and stuff. So that's all I know. I haven't been keeping up on that or listening to Coast or anything, but yeah, personally, I have felt a lot of energy, and a lot of interesting things I've seen happening, along with the, everything else. We have the Occupy Wall Street. All these people are taking to the streets and protesting banks making too much money, charging too much, or basically people, I don't really know how it works, but apparently banks charge too much interest, and so they're getting really rich, and then people can't pay it, and so then the bank fails, and then they just get the government to pay to bail them out. And it's just this big jumble fuck that people need to fix. And I think we should socialize that stuff, socialize the bank, and vote people in who are more responsible, and they manage that stuff for so that everybody can win, so that people don't, well, mainly so people don't, it's not a money making scheme, I mean, it's something that helps people have money to buy stuff, and then they can pay on a reasonable rate. I'm paying on my credit card like 13% on one and 19 on the other, and I owe like $2,500 on one, 800 on another one, 500 on another one. So yeah, I've got like all these credit card bills that come in. I don't know how much it is, but I probably spent hundreds of dollars on it. And they're making money off of me. And yeah, I could still make money if they charge less. But I don't really know anything how that is. But sorry, I got way sidetracked. But the interesting thing, what I wanted to talk about, is that there's lots of people taking to the streets and protesting. I don't understand why they're not protesting the Federal Reserve. That's what they really should protest, the secrecy behind all that, but maybe they are. But the interesting thing is people are taking the streets and protesting, and which is totally within their right. It's the First Amendment, and it's written right there. And cops are coming out there and trying to get people away, which is, so that it's actually the cops who are breaking the law by not letting people assemble. If they want to assemble, they should be able to assemble. So. But anyways, I think it's going to end up turning into a revolution and making people change decisions in one way or another. Revolutions, that's pretty much the best way to change the world, is by taking to the streets. That's what toppled the French monarchy. That's what did the French Revolution. Everybody just took to the streets. They stormed the Bastille. They marched out to Versailles. That's what toppled Ceausescu back in '88. There's this video of him giving some speech, and then at one moment all the crowd just boos him, and that was it. He had to, everybody in all of his like personal guard mutinied on him, and it was over because everybody, it just like exploded. It just became apparent that, and same thing with Gaddafi. And that's interesting, isn't it, that Gaddafi gets overthrown like right now at this date. President of Egypt gets toppled. I think the president of Yemen is going to have to step down. Aren't they having problems in Syria? And I guess it's everybody has talk of us invading, or I don't really watch news, but isn't there like talk of invading Iran, which is completely stupid. But there's probably going to be like a revolution there too pretty soon. So stuff's happening. It's pretty exciting. But like my prediction of like how the world is going to change, I think people are, well, waking up. And when I say waking up, I think basically being able to think for themselves. For a really long time, people just watched they would kind of believe something just because everybody else believes it, and they would believe stuff because the people in charge said that's how it was, and so they just had faith in them and believed them. And mainly like with the media, we have all these television shows and people just watching. I was on the treadmill the other day, and I'm walking on the treadmill, and the guy next to me, there's TVs in all the treadmills that I have, and I'm on the treadmill, and I look over, and there's this guy watching Bill O'Reilly talking to Steve Miller, or Dennis Miller, and he's just there watching it. And Yeah, I just got that, you know, it just reminded me of TV, where people just sit down and they turn on the TV and they watch the same people talk, and basically what they're doing is they're just watching people tell them what to believe. And and it's people just sitting, just spouting their own opinions. And the funny thing is that the people who are spouting their opinions on the TV are idiots. Like this guy Bill O'Reilly, he's a thug. He's like a uneducated. I mean, he probably grew up, and I don't think he really knows anything. He doesn't seem. He's just really angry about anybody who expresses themselves, or he just gets out there and tries to squash everything. He's just like the voice of whoever decided to hire him to spread their message, and all these people sit down and watch it. And I remember seeing this other video, this interview with Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin, and every time you watch Sarah Palin, and she doesn't know anything, and yet everybody's like, she's like, you know, the anointed one. And I don't mean anointed as in anointed by God, like how she thinks she is, but like anointed by I guess the media, you know, who have her name all over the place, and appointed by McCain, and so just because of that, everybody's like just looks to her. It's kind of like royalty from ancient England and Europe with the royal family. Just because somebody is part of the family, then we're going to look to them to take over and be in charge and do whatever they want. And letting royalty take charge and do whatever they want does not have good consequences. And I'm going to make videos about this, not in the near future, because I'm not going to have the time, but it has disastrous consequences, because these people cause wars with each other just for their own whims, because they don't want to have, they don't want their like brother to be in charge. I just finished a book called Cleopatra by Jacob Abbott, and I mean, she and Mark Antony were loaded, rich, and they had these battles just against the Romans, and for like no reason other than their own whims, and just partied and were completely irresponsible. And yeah, but people have always been into just following those, just I guess treating these people like they're gods and just following them around and wanting to have figureheads. And anyways, I think people are going to wake up now that we have internet, and everybody can have their own channel, and everybody can have access to as much information as they want about everything, and they figure out to actually have ideas about things based on facts, because the facts are actually there, that they're not going to need to turn on the TV and watch some like rambling like. Oh, another thing about TV, which I think is funny, just how stupid people on TV are, is Fox News. These guys, like, how they interrupt each other, and it was really funny, because I was in the bathroom the other day at the gym, and they have these TV up in the bathroom, and I looked up, and it was one of these Fox News guys, you know, these like neocon like asshole types who interrupt everybody, and they had this black woman on, and I think she was talking about like racism and politics or something, but she was there like, you know, she asked her a question, so she answered the question, and she got about like, you know, a half of a sentence in, and then of course the guy like blurts like, blah, 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 but he kept trying to blurt, and she wasn't having any of it. She just kept talking and finished her sentence as if he wasn't even there for like 10 seconds. And he's here like, yeah, but, and all I heard was her talking, and then this guy just being like, you know, it was so funny. That girl knew exactly what to do, how to handle those guys. But yeah, it's just like people just being like reactionary and interrupting each other. And yeah, those people, they're the ones on TV with everybody watching them. And it's I think, you know, in the future it's going to get a lot more there's going to be a lot more competition for attention. And the television is going to start to lose its sway. And like another thing, you know, there's so many reality TV shows. People like to sit down and watch reality TV shows, like watch other people's lives. And they just get really popular. Like, I guess Kim Kardashian makes like over 10 million a year. The Situation on, what's that show? Jersey Shore makes 10 million a year. And they've got all these reality shows. I saw a bit of a reality show when I was walking by the TV of like that dude from Kiss. And he's out there like shopping for like vegetables, you know? I mean, people just watching people just because they're famous. Just because everybody knows who they are. Everybody wants to know what they're up to. People can be famous for being famous. And but I think people are going to become more participatory. People are going to participate more, and it's going to suck away all of the attention from the television, and the television is going to lose its power, and because of that, people in charge are going to lose their power, and people aren't going to be president just because everybody knows who they are, or because their names are all over network television and the newspapers and stuff, because newspapers are just gonna, well, I guess newspapers are dying, but even big online newspapers are gonna get smaller or lose their share as normal people are gonna come up, and it's going to, and obviously there's always going to be like popular people, but there's going to be lots of different types of lots of groups. Like in a high school, you have the different cliques, you know, you have these guys, these guys, these guys. But like, I think on the internet, we're going to have all these other groups of people who just coalesce and become like-minded all over the place. And the people who have the most coherent vision of a utopian future are going to be the ones who are going to become the most popular and have the largest numbers of adherents. And I'm talking about the New Agers. Because the more, in a world filled with information, where information is omniscient information is at your fingertips because of the internet, the people who believe the most are the people who are the most interesting. And the people who plug in the most amount of ideas from all over the world and the past, and use that to describe a very well thought out picture of the future of how we want to live and which laws we want to have, and explain why we are ready to have freedom and not spend all this money on fear-based things like defense. You know, America spends 20% of our budget on defense. Other countries spend only like 2%. So, 10 times more than any of the other countries. $40 billion a year on the war on drugs, and and all this stuff because people get out there and on the networks and spreading this fear. I mean, what's the deal with like terrorism level 5? It's like, what the fuck? What do I have to do with terrorism red level, yellow level? I'm here in the park. I'm here in the library parking lot. Like, what am I supposed to? If I see like a lady walk by with carrying a briefcase that's larger than a normal sized purse, she's like a terrorist. I need to call the cops on her. Is that what you're trying to program people to do? To become intolerant on people who stand out. I parked in a place way out of town in the middle of nowhere last week. I was only there 3 nights, and all these people were honking at me as they were driving by, and the cop came and told me that all these people had called him and said that I was there for a week, and maybe they thought I was a terrorist, like I was like design, because they watch TV and they're watching this fear-based shit. Yeah, but maybe I got sidetracked, but yeah, but a lot of these fear-based people, I think they're the same people for example, Sarah Palin is one of these people who probably would want to, who, you know, every time I heard her talk, like in debates and stuff, she's always talking about, oh yeah, defense, we need to go in there and get the, you know, those terrorists and all that stuff. And she's a fundamentalist Christian who thinks the world was created 6,000 years ago, you know, thinks that her church thinks that gays are an abomination. And so I think those people, a lot of the people who had been in charge for some reason are like fundamentalist Christians who have a really narrow idea of the world, and are basically, if you were to try to talk to them, they'd have more disbeliefs than beliefs, like really black and white, you know. No, I don't believe. I don't, because they don't have any education. But if you have a wide range of interests and you are aware of the religious beliefs of all of the people in the world, especially native people who think that everything in the natural world is alive, and there's an actual biosphere of you know, sentient beings all over the universe working together to naturally bring us forward and evolve, and that's actually the natural way it is, and we don't, it's not up to us to like stamp out anything else that we perceive to be the enemy. Yeah, if you look at the whole world and you understand and you believe and you just disbelieve stuff that doesn't make sense, you're going to believe in freedom. And I think people are going to start believing more and more of that, be more tolerant of each other. One interesting thing is a lot of people started doing vlogs. I saw more people, like people who subscribe to me, like I see their face for the first time and they're talking. Mobile C, Tyne, you know, one girl subscribed to me, she does daily video logs. This little this high school kid did a vlog about me the other day, and I guess he's just started doing vlogs, and people are starting to not be, like, all of a sudden they're like, wait, how come I'm not up there on the internet? I have a channel right here. Let's me do it. And I think people are going to start doing that, and they're going to start having opinions about stuff, and they're going to, and because they have opinions and they're spreading their ideas, they're going to be less inclined to think that we need to have restrictions on other people. The people who think that there should be restrictions on other people are people who are afraid to, you know, they put restrictions on themselves. They're afraid to put themselves out there in the world. Nobody films their house because they think that if they do that, somebody's going to get them. Nobody films themselves. They're like afraid of, I guess, being made fun of, and you know, and people do make fun of you, attack you, and say, just call you names and stuff because I guess you said something they disagreed with. But yeah, more and more people are just going to come out, and when you're out there in the world participating and, you know, making videos and having opinions about stuff, you don't have the time, because we all have a limited amount of time in our day to do stuff. You're literally not even going to have the time to have a problem with anybody. You're gonna see somebody and you're gonna watch their video because you want to know what they think about something, and then you're gonna disagree with them. You're not gonna like them. You're gonna stop the video right there. You're not even gonna have the time to write anything. You're not gonna have enough motivation or emotions to say anything. You're just gonna leave them there and just keep searching around, and it's not gonna bother you. You're not gonna even remember who they were in 5 minutes. And then you're gonna find somebody who you agree with, and you're gonna subscribe to them. You're gonna make friends with them or whatever, and then your little group is going to grow. And I think that's how worlds come together. Worlds don't come together, at least when it's a successful endeavor. Worlds don't come together by one group of people stamping out another group of people. You know, if that happens, then everybody's stamping each other out, and you have like a world war. Worlds come together by one group of people having a successful business plan, and then they grow. And they grow and they grow and they grow, and then all the other people just kind of fall in line. And the new world, the new business plan of the world is everybody having their own opinion about everything based on facts, based on knowledge and open-mindedness, and people are just going to start believing everything. You name it, they're going to believe it because it's true. Every idea, they're going to believe in God, they're going to believe in the aliens, they're going to believe in freedom, and we're going to just open up and stop. And money, I don't think people are not going to be as worried about money. And see money as kind of like a worth thing. I've had a few people, you know, who get angry with me. They're like, "Oh, you suck because you have no money." You know, or, "I make more money than you, and that's why." And to me, that sounds nuts. But they're like serious when they say that. And it's really, you don't need that much money to survive. I mean, I'm still kind of figuring it out now, but I think you can get by on about a 12 in America, even on about $12,000 a year. I think that's about how much I get. I'm still kind of hammering out, but it's cheaper when you can. If you just buy just raw fruit and vegetables, and you don't buy like processed stuff like last night I had processed stuff with beans and corn chips and like salsa and stuff. That's like processed, you know, like the salsa would be processed. And so I'm paying for the people who actually went into the process of that and the bottle and the sugar and all the mixing and the labor and all that stuff, when I could have just bought the tomato. And raw food, you know, food prices are going up and stuff. But when people value that and they just understand the concept of just people being able to just buy just basic, the stuff coming right out of the earth in its natural form, as being something that's affordable. People and internet, we have Wi-Fi that's free all over the place. And I guess I was listening to you Coast to Coast last night. Europe is light years ahead of America on that because we have these problems with ISP fighting against the government trying to put free internet. But it's inevitable. We're gonna have free internet and stuff. So nobody's really going to have, I mean, and people are going to start to become very, very hungry for knowledge, which is free as well. So I think I'm hoping that a lot of people are going to start doing what I'm doing, just living out of their van, living on a cheap, you know, keep the jobs that they have, but just living really cheaply and not working as much and spending their time learning and studying what they know and what kind of, you know, people they want to vote for. And so then when actual people get up there and run for office, they don't even have to have the big TV backing them, the media backing them, and all of these expensive donations, because the populace is going to be smart enough to know who the person is who stands for what's best for everybody. Just based on looking at their website and going, okay, look, this guy's got his ideas about this up in a really coherent way, and I agree with what he says. It's not like all about, you know, pictures of him and he and his family and slogans and, you know, all these colloquialisms and, you know, other famous people who back him up and all this stuff. It's just like boiled down to the raw basics of what they know, and people are going to be smart. And because they'll be more educated and have more time. So I think that's what's going to go down. I think now, and I can feel it. I mean, you know, with the protests and with people talking about, you know, fuck TV and we're sick of the bullshit, you know. And I think people are going to just relax and stop listening to the fear-based stuff and just be open and tolerant and be hungry for knowledge and be energized and have the discipline to go after that. Yeah, so 34 minutes. I think that's long enough. But I'm excited. Personally, I'm very excited to continue on my mission, my timeline, and learning, studying. I want to listen to all those audiobooks, and eventually, one of these days, I will come up with an idea about what I think about politics, and maybe. But you know, the point is now, I'm not even interested in that stuff at all, because it's just. I mean, the White House uploads. I'm subscribed to the White House, but I don't watch any of their videos because it's all useless. It's like here's a really good example of how the president's just a figurehead. Like these days, the King of England, for example, the Queen of England is just a figurehead, right? No real power. So what does she do? What's her job? Her job is to get up, to go to a function, you know, cut the ribbon for the new opening of the airline, attend the wedding of some other king, and you know, wave at the parade going by, and just the figurehead, like the prom queen, you know. Queen of England's like the prom queen. Like a whole bunch of all this ceremony, pomp and ceremony. But the president is this, it's like the same way. If you look at the YouTube White House, the only videos they upload is like he was giving a speech at the Martin Luther King commencement. And then there's another one, and it's him like shaking hands with the president and waving, and with the president of another country and waving. And then another one where he's like, you know, Michelle Obama meeting with the charity group for children. And it's like, where's the meat? Where's the beef? You know, where's this guy up there on the internet, or up there, like explaining a new bill or a new idea in a really detailed way? Or when they go up there and they answer questions for the media, how come they're not up there more than the president's up there for like 5 minutes or something, and then he's got to go? It's like, where you got to go, bud? Like, how are you that? I mean, like President Bush was probably the same way, and I think he didn't even work that much, you know. It's like, if you're the president, don't you think you should give the media a little bit more time? Yeah, so I think, yeah, when you get somebody and you can tell that they're serious and they've got their shit together and they got their beliefs together and they work hard, that's the guy we're gonna vote in, and not because he's got, like, you know, all the backers and all the money and all that stuff. So yeah, I think we're gonna. I like Ron Paul. I mean, I think he's a neocon, or he's an ultra conservative as far as socially stuff goes. But as far as like fiscally conservative, I think he's fucking great. And he's a revolutionary in that way. And I think we're ready to get him in. I think the ball's rolling. People are gonna wake up really soon, and once it happens, it's going to happen really quickly. Like, before we know it, we're going to have to start making really big changes. Like, get rid of a lot of the red tape and the way that we pay our income taxes. I mean, we brought troops back from Iraq by the end of the year. I bet you we're going to pull back troops from Korea, from Germany. I mean, why the hell do we have 30,000 troops in Germany still? That's just ridiculous. That stuff's going to start to happen, man. I think it's going to happen, and I'm excited. Whew. Okay, that's long enough, though.